What was the primary role for women within the family prior to the Civil War?
Raise the kids.
Raise the kids. What do you remember what we call that?
But for the South, they had the nannies.
So much because you had the slavery.
Okay, good. So you can make notes for that. So that's again a distinction that you can make between women have a universal womanhood experience, but depending on where you live, there's a different experience.
So we put the South just like in the North, we raised children. In the South, slaves raised the children, and they did what?
Hold on one second. Keep going on.
Yeah, they were in charge of running the household, so they
got
pretty
the
much
slaves
told.
together.
Yeah.
They had the nannies know what to do.
I really hate to say it, but Southern women for the most part just look pretty on the arm of their
That's what I was
husband.
thinking. I was like, they were just there to look pretty.
So, and if you think about that, if that's as a Southern woman, if that was your role, just to look pretty, now all of a sudden you're doing this and think, like, for me, remember when we watched Gone with the Wind and there's the
And she
part.
goes to, she comes from really pretty Scarlet O'Hara, who, the nurse Scarlet O'Hara, and she's like really dirty and not at all put
And a lot
together.
of them didn't really know what to do because at least in the North, you're kind of more in charge of taking care of yourself and your children. In the South, that just wasn't anything you did. So not only are you thrown into a different environment, you really have no clue what you're doing.
Yeah, good point. So you want to look at, when you look at what life was like during the Civil War, how does that change for both the women, for women in general? How does it change for Northern women? How does it change for Southern women? And later on we'll talk about, is that a sustained change? So keep going and I'll come back. Keep talking amongst yourselves.
Okay.
And make notes.
Should we move on to
Yeah, and Gone with the Wind,
Okay.
she came back and had to run the household because
Yeah.
wife went crazy. So she was pushed into like a
she was the
position of
farmer.
power where she did.
Yeah.
I guess in the Civil War,
And when the sister complained, she was like, no.
What was the experience of men? What did it mean to be a man before the Civil War? What did they do?
Playing where you grew up and hunted, you provided for your family, and just made sure you had a wife and kids.
Good. So okay, so you want to make those kind of notes before the war. What did they do? And then Chastity made an interesting point. You said you hunted depending on what, where you live. So can you make a distinction between the life of a Northern man and a Southern man? All right. So you want to make that distinction because you want to look at the war does affect men, but it also is going to have a different impact whether you're a Northern man or you're a Southern man, and that you can kind of see necessarily from the pictures because a lot of these pictures are camp life, and what are they doing? They're talking. Do you see any of them doing drills? What do we talk about camp life happens? What was one of the major complaints? Boredom. That you got bored. There wasn't stuff to do. So you want to talk about focus on the life of the soldier versus here's what I'm doing at camp, but here's what I do on the battlefield, and start making those distinctions amongst yourselves. Okay, and you can write all the pictures. Okay, y'all can write all that. Okay. So African American is one of the ones where it's more obvious. Before the war, the situation is slavery. Yeah, lower, either slaves if you're in the South, or lower class if you are in the North. All right. Now during the war, how does that change?
They had to do the dirty work.
Okay.
Not really that much, because they were still the cooks or the battlefield cleaners, and
They weren't treated like
people that didn't matter.
they weren't treated as like possessions per se, but they were like treated like they didn't matter at all.
Good. And how is that even a stepping point for anything else? Because what you want to look at is, can change be sustained? So if you experience any type of change during the war, if you can even say, well, we contributed to the war this way, this will lead us to get other things, that's what you want to look at. Can these systems, can that change be sustained for those systems? Have you gone through all your pictures?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so keep kind of talking about things that you can add there, because you're going to share what you have with your other groups. That's how they're going to fill their portion out.
Okay.
All right, now we're good for good. So, before the Civil War, they were, or you can assume what you know about them is what?
Unsanitary,
Unsanitary.
but they had some food compared to during the war, I guess.
Yes.
And they were better sheltered because they needed to like isolate from
Very good. And then during the war, how would a prison change?
They had more people in shelter.
Good. Is it a permanent? Do you have time to build a permanent prison? It's a temporary prison. Say it again.
They had tents.
They had tents.
And it was unsanitary.
Yes. So, during the Civil War, prison life would get
worse.
yeah worse. Right. Have you gone through all your pictures and talked about that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna give you a few more minutes to keep having discussions with your group about how the war changed their perspective. And remember, you're looking at, can change be sustained? Is it a temporary change or is that a permanent change?
They really did have to, I guess, bring their kids.
Yeah, they had to be a mother and be part of the war.
Yeah, mother all of these soldiers as well.
Yeah, like a lot of respect. You got your actual kids, and then you got these man children.
No.
Yeah, it's just a lot of work that they didn't have before the war.
On both sides.
Yeah.
Picture is a nurse again. Looks like she's getting medicine. This guy.
And it was, I feel like before nurses were just there for like the after party. But now they're part of like
That's what you're doing. Just going about essay writing a different way.
But they were still lower class. It's all segregation.
You talking about what their injuries actually were?
He doesn't have legs.
Oh,
doesn't have a leg. He doesn't have a leg.
that's really good.
See, we know stuff.
And notice the way that he's looking at her, like even the expression on his face, as if, like to me, that's an expression of like
He
complete,
has to rely on.
yeah, like complete adoration. I really love you. So it's being, thank you, without my like.
Weren't there a lot of stories of the Civil War of people marrying the nurses that took care of
Thank you.
them?
That's what I was going to say. So it's, in a way, I was going to say mother, but we could also go there too. But it's called the Florence Nightingale effect, and that's from World War I. But you're right, yeah. But it's the idea of I'm still playing the mother role. I'm just doing it a different way. With man children. Have y'all gone through most of your pictures?
Yes,
Okay. All right. So most groups have gone through all your pictures. You filled out your graphic organizer. Now we're gonna go get back to what you may find the more difficult point of this entire thing. You all, I gave every group a blank sheet of paper, and you all have an index card. Here's what we're gonna do. You're going to do step one, which is you're going to take all these words and you're going to write them on your blank sheet of paper. You may not repeat any words. So if Peter wrote death and Abby writes dying, choose which one you want to keep on the list. In the end, you're going to end up with, right now, just one long list of words. If someone wrote something really off the wall and it happens, talk about it as a group and try to understand why that person wrote something really off the wall. If someone wrote Rumpelstiltskin, why did you write Rumpelstiltskin? Because that doesn't have to do with the Civil War. But they may have had some straw, and then that led them to thinking about spinning gold into straw. So decide who's ever going to be your writer. Once you've got all your words in a list, let me know. If you need any help or you get confused, raise your hand. Caitlin should probably write it. I was going to point that out to you guys.
My picture line is just would you like to start? Would you like to tell us your success?
Keep your ass. I just remember 3 and one I got was like family.
You're to have one big long list of words. It doesn't matter what word it is, just a big old long list of words.
Is it fun for Nardo? Unsanitary, but I felt like I could spell her. Just do number 3. Yeah. Number 3.
Let's see.
Does anybody, and then if anybody else has that one, go ahead and cross it off so you don't use it. Okay? So Howard, everybody does it a different way. So if you're calling out or if anybody else has them, just go ahead and cross it off so you do not have to use it.
You didn't write on me.
Y'all do work on out, so Summer calls out like if she's got busy and she's like thinking, you're like, oh, you can cross it off. The list of words will vary as how long. Some groups will have longer lists than others.
I agree.
I always wait for the group where somebody writes something just absolutely off the wall.
I like this very much.
That go with miserable.
Melancholy means sadness.
I think it's not miserable.
You can say your race. What do you say, Trina?
I think I remember one. I really just put verses. I didn't really think of it. I thought it was bored. Okay, wait, let's play out the second one. I'm mistaken. Organized. And I put views. You put men. It doesn't seem like there's enough nurses for dummy who's
With everything going on, why are they taking a random moment to have a group photo?
a war like this. America divided itself.
I got nurses again. I also put like they were aboard a ship. Just say,
They were what?
aboard a ship, you know, like boat.
Oh, aboard a ship.
What do you see? There's the things. There's the pulley nose with the side. No, I'm serious though. Like there's like.
It does look like a ship. That's intense.
Right. And then the last one I put was this was off the wall, but they had interesting uniforms.
You pick the first person to write it. Absolutely.
Well, that is a good because that can hinder our focus depending on like what's going on.
No, I think that like this is a point in the war when nursing becomes more organized. Like, they're not just wearing their regular.
When your group has made your list, raise your
They
hand.
know what's going on.
Wearing that nurses is sad. I said they look uncomfortable.
They probably were. I mean, like you're wearing wool. It's the middle of
Yeah.
summer.
Okay, y'all got, how far are you on your list?
We have two more.
Two more. Okay, good. When you're done, let me know.
Okay.
They were older women.
Although we can't see the face of that one. At all. Water shirt.
Okay, wait, what's the next one? Next.
I feel it's the same thing. I said like black skin and dirty. Not dirty. Instead of fighting, he's watching again.
They probably weren't fighting at the time because Kennedy was not doing anything.
And the wind.
They probably, I'm saying, they probably weren't fighting at the time since the cannons are just sitting there.
So I just made this guy.
Yeah.
So lower class words. Okay, what's the next one?
Cannons.
Well, no, failure.
We had, it's in.
Yeah, that's railroad right there.
Battle preparation.
So the north had more railroads.
We already had preparation on number 1.
Yeah, but
You can use it for both.
Oh, okay.
Pardon me, Miss Thompson.
Yes, ma'am.
Kyle, step up to the office, please.
I will.
Uh-oh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One soldier.
Battle preparation, is you put that? Caleb, you put battle preparation. Basically what they're doing. Yeah.
Okay, how are y'all doing? Have you had any repeats?
For battle.
Armed for battle? No.
The same thing with the
No.
Nightingale. Not Nightingale.
Yeah.
Yes,
There was the
Florence
Florence
Nightingale,
Florence.
where they were all like
Nurse love.
Nurse love. Yes, I did that. Nurse love. I didn't really phrase it well at all. But
Okay.
that's pretty much what I got. Nurse love. And really.
When you're done.